The Silent Mentor. Today we're going to dive in on Behind the Book with Allisyn Howard from Ava Wellness. Let's jump in. I'm Heather Andrews, and on Behind the Book, we journey beyond the cover. On each episode, I dive deep into the minds of authors, unlocking the mysteries behind their literary creations. Discover the stories behind the book exclusively here with me. The Silent Mentor with Allisyn Howard on Behind the Book. Previously, we had talked about the hidden edge and really harnessing that intuition in business. And today, one of her last words on the last episode was start listening. So we're just gonna continue on and move into the Silent Mentor. And so welcome back.
Hello.
Yes. So we left it off with with just start listening to that intuition. And that was really like in your chapter in Culture Revolution was, just listening and being that silent mentor. So I know that there was a couple of stories in the book, and one of them was labeled The Silent Mentor. So Could you just give us a little bit more background around what that silent mentor meant to you?
Well, I loved the way I actually separated my chapter because I did mini short stories ranging from when I was 24 until I was 30.
Beautiful.
And it was great because, especially for the younger people out there reading this book, it's hard when you're younger to start going, but what is that feeling? What am I doing? Like, does anybody even believe me? That kind of thing. And I think in the general culture right now, especially for people who are going to pick up a book called Culture Revolution, they're looking for mentors. They're looking for access and going, okay, I don't want to have to learn these hard lessons myself because trust me, they're not fun. But
no, they're not.
they're
not. They're hard.
They're really hard to do. So it's great to have a mentor that's gone through it or can teach you to kind of avoid some obstacles. And when I started writing this, I started going through all of these lessons that I had to learn. And I think the one that was called Silent Mentor, I think that one was when I was, I want to say like 26-ish, something like that. And there, you have to read the book to find out the actual full story. But what happened?
That was a hook.
Can you tell that I learned from my mentors? Anyway, but with that, I was about 26 and I had already had a few hard lessons in business of having the wrong people on my team, trying to do things that weren't quite in alignment, bringing on new services that I was like, I don't really think that this is going to work, but also of having some really great experiences. I think in 2017 also was when I ended up hiring this woman who I love absolutely dearly. She's still one of my best friends. Because that was like a, yes, we're in alignment, let's go.
Yeah.
And having the silent mentor, really, I started looking further in of like, does this feel good? Because every time something didn't feel good, it usually didn't work out well. Even if I had been able to convince myself this has got great profit margins, or they've got all the right experience, look at all of these other places that are doing these things. And I was getting inundated with all this information of you should be doing blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I can't remember where I first heard it, but it was you should stop shooting also over yourself. And that's where I started really looking and being like, okay, I've gone through all of this. Might only be 26 at the time, but it was like, I've had a lot of experience up to 26 years old. And I know if something fits or doesn't.
Right.
And everybody has that. Everybody's gone through however many experiences going like, oh, this isn't great. This is, whether or not that's a dangerous situation. Or if it's just like a massage therapist that I'm coaching, she's got 30 years experience. And she goes, I just know what the body's telling me. I don't know how. And I'm like, you have 30 years experience. You've seen it. Our subconscious takes in all of this information. And even if you can't articulate it, it's there.
Right. Yeah, it is. It's very much there. And I know even just in my own background of healthcare prior to going into publishing like 9 years ago, you just almost knew kind of like what that person needed when you were x-raying them, or the conversation that they needed, or
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's an intuition. And even when I listen to people share their stories or their background, I just know what they need to tell.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it's just, you listen to what's coming out, and some of their stories are like just instant gold. And they don't even know that they even have it.
No, I think, I can't remember if it was you or Caitlin that I was telling about one of the horror stories of one of these situations where I had convinced myself logically that this was going to work out. This person that we ended up hiring ended up costing us $50,000 in 6 months in a business. And that was a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. And for a lot of people, it comes to money where it's just like, oh, that was a bad lesson to learn. But sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it really isn't. In that situation, it wasn't, because my gut was telling me, please don't. Yeah. But I went, here's all of these great things that could happen. Yeah.
Strong.
Oh,
very strong. And so when you wrote in the chapter and you got to kind of rethink about a lot of these stories, and what was the biggest transformation you had as you wrote in the chapter of Culture Revolution?
That I should probably listen to my partner a little bit more. It was at the end of it, and I'm going, man, I learned all these lessons. Crap. So the last story in it was when I officially left my last full-time job and went full-time in my business. And that was something that my partner and a lot of my friends had all been encouraging me to do. And I knew that it was the right decision. Yeah. But I had put 6 years into this company. I really had felt that I had built a legacy. Like, I had hired every single person there and trained them and got them out of school and all of this. And I really had a hard time when it came to leaving. And it was a bit of ego that was in the way there. But when I finally decided to make the shift, it was like this breath of fresh air, and all of these really cool opportunities were coming to me that felt very much so in alignment. And meeting amazing people and being connected to people like you and Kate and Adam and Megan and all of these people where it feels good to be there. So it was still even a lesson again of, okay, like, you've cultivated your gut. You actually have to trust it and jump with it. If it's saying do it, you gotta listen.
And I think probably for me, one of the biggest lessons was probably one of the most courageous that I had to do last year. But it was the right thing to do. And it was, aside from leaving my marriage, it was one of the hardest decisions that I ever had to take. So your intuition can lead you to good things, but it's also, sometimes it's like a hell yes, but it's still a hard decision to make. And so you kind of have to just roll with that. But I think probably my biggest lesson in the 54 years that I've been on this planet is everything always works out. It always does. And there's, within that transformation and those obstacles and those, those headbutting or resistance moments, there's deep learning, there's deep curves, there's deep understanding and reflection.
Well, and it's also, why are you beating your head against the wall? Right? I'm going through a situation, or I just kind of finished a situation where it was a lot of time and effort into a relationship, like into a business kind of relationship, where it just ended up being like, we don't share the same values anymore. We're not aligned there. And every day that I was having to do things and try to make it work, I was beating my head against a wall, and I was tired. Like, my body, I was just like, oh, I could fall asleep right now because I don't want to be here, or be doing this thing. And as soon as I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. And I started seeing those same patterns that you'll see in the book, where it's like, oh, okay. I started seeing those again, and I said, okay, my body is telling me something, my intuition is telling me something. It's time for me to move on. The day that I decided that, a really, really cool opportunity came to me for something that I've been wanting to do since I was like 12 years old. So it does lead you in the right direction, but it's like, are you listening? What are you beating your head against the wall for? You don't want to do that.
Well, and I remember when, you and I were talking, and your words of wisdom to me were, you had a bigger vision and the platform didn't allow you to do that. And it was just as simple as that. It was like, Okay.
Yep.
So, so really like be aware and listen to those people around you as well.
Yeah,
But
and
don't
take
let
the
that.
emotion out of it as well. And it's one of the things where it's a time sunk fallacy, right? It's like, how many years have I put into this? Like especially for things like marriage,
Yeah.
where it's just like, how many years have I put into this? How many years have I put into the company, giving my heart and soul and all of this, where it's, you want to believe that's going to pay off.
Yeah.
It will, but maybe not in that platform, that container.
Yeah.
Maybe those things are meant to teach you this thing, and then you can go on to something bigger and more aligned.
Exactly. Absolutely. So where can people find you as we wrap up?
So you can find me at avawellness.ca, as well as on Instagram at Ava Wellness Business.
Excellent. Thank you, Allisyn, for being on the show today, called The Silent Mentor, and just really bringing that awareness into us for our intuition. Make sure you catch the next episode with us as we talk more about the value proposition, and make sure you go to Amazon and get your copy of The Culture Revolution. See you next time. It's been a literary voyage here on Behind the Book. My sincerest thanks to our featured authors for letting us peek behind the curtain. I'm Heather Andrews, urging you to keep exploring the vast universe of literature. Until our next chapter, happy reading.